But what if I told you there was once a full-size Ford that could outrun a Corvette? A 4,000-pound beast with the heart of a race car and a family sedan body. A car that shook up drag strips, terrorized NASCAR, and nearly redefined what American muscle would be. Its name? The Ford Galaxy. But for all its brute power and racing pedigree, the Galaxy quietly disappeared. No headlines, no glory, and no proper goodbye. So the question is, why did Ford kill a car that could beat a Corvette? Today we're diving deep into the forgotten story of the Ford Galaxy, because sometimes the most dangerous cars are the ones that succeed too well. This isn't just another story about horsepower wars or Detroit muscle. It's about a contradiction on wheels, a family cruiser with a split personality, a car that redefined rule books and defied expectations. It's the tale of how Ford's pursuit of victory created a legend that burned too bright to last. So buckle up. This is the complete untold story of Ford's most misunderstood masterpiece. Let's go back to 1959. America was obsessed with the future. Satellites, astronauts, jet age styling. The space race was heating up, with the Soviet Sputnik satellite sending shockwaves through American society. Henry Ford II and his whiz kids were watching. They needed something to capture this new era of optimism and technological fascination. They needed a flagship that would make an American dream. The result? A new top-tier car named the Cosmos itself, the Galaxy. This wasn't just a marketing fluff. The Galaxy was big, bold, and beautiful. The full-size luxury sedan with space-age trim, tail fins, and chrome so bright you could shave in it. The Galaxy replaced the Fairlane 500 as Ford's premium styling offering. Its name, intentionally spelled with an IE instead of a Y, was pure marketing genius. Every time you looked at that badge, you were reminded of mankind's greatest adventure, space exploration. But there was something else at Ford in the late 1950s, something that would transform the Galaxy from just another petty cruiser to a performance legend. You see, Henry Ford had recently been humiliated when his attempt to buy Ferrari fell through at the last minute. So what was his response? A new corporate mantra that would change everything: total performance. Ford was going all in on racing. Le Mans, Indianapolis, rally circuits, and most importantly, for our story, NASCAR. By the early 1960s, the Galaxy wasn't just for Sunday drives. It was showing up at NASCAR ovals and drag strips, and that's when things got wild. The Galaxy went from representing the stars to becoming one, but this transformation didn't really happen overnight. The first gen Galaxy inherited its platform from the Fairlane. Comfortable, yes, but hardly a performance machine. It would take Ford engineers' ingenuity and racing experience to transform this cruiser into a contender. And transform they did. The early 60s saw Ford doing something radical. They took their biggest, heaviest full-size car, stuffed it with the most powerful engines they could build, and started modestly enough. The 292 and the 352 V8s provided adequate power, but Ford engineers knew that adequate wouldn't win races. They needed extraordinary. Enter the 390 cubic inch FE V8 with up to 401 horsepower back in that day in its triple carb configuration. That was a serious setup, but Ford was just getting started. By 1962, Ford had unleashed the 406 cubic inch V8, available with either a single 4-barrel carburetor making 385 horsepower or the top spec version with 3 Holley 2 barrels producing 405 horsepower. Think about that. As I said, 405 horsepower in 1962 from the factory. When most family cars were making 200 to 250 horsepower, the Galaxy was nearly doubling it. But Ford wasn't satisfied. Their racing teams needed more. And in 1963, Ford unleashed their masterpiece, the 427 cubic inch V8. This wasn't just an evolution, it was a revolution. The purpose-built racing engine disguised as a production motor. The 427's specifications read like a hot rodder's dream. cross-bolted main bearing caps for high RPM durability, high flow heads with enormous valves, solid lifter camshafts with aggressive profiles, either a single Holley 4-barrel or a 2-barrel carburetor. The result, the 425 official horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. And that was the conservative rating, guys. Most experts believe that the actual output was closer to 500 horsepower, a number deliberately underreported to keep insurance companies and racing officials from getting nervous. So let's just put that into perspective. In 1963, the Ford Galaxy with the 427 V8 was producing 425 horsepower from the factory. That same year, the Chevy Corvette's top engine, the fuel-injected 327, made 360 horsepower. Let that just sink in for a second. A giant steel land yacht, capable of hauling your family across states, could outrun America's sports car on a quarter-mile strip. And it wasn't just talk. The car proved it at the track. Galaxies were dominating super stock drag classes. Their lightweight versions, built with fiberglass panels and aluminum bumpers, were pure weapons. And let's talk about the lightweight Galaxies for a moment. In 1963, Ford built approximately 200 special Galaxies designed specifically for drag racing. These cars included fiberglass front fenders, hood and trunk lid, aluminum bumpers and mounting brackets, all sound deadening material removed, heater and radio delete, and the side windows replaced with lightweight plexiglass. The result was a Galaxy that weighed approximately 425 less pounds than stock, and when paired with that 427 engine in a close ratio 4-speed transmission, these cars were clocking quarter miles in the low 12-second range. That's faster than many sports cars today in a full-size sedan from 1963. But the story gets even more interesting when you look at what the average Americans were buying. See, you didn't need to buy an all-out race version to get phenomenal performance. Even the street-oriented 427 Galaxies were monsters. Ford cleverly hid these beasts in plain sight. From the outside, a 427 Galaxy 500 looked nearly identical to the 6-cylinder base model. Same chrome, same trim, same elegant styling. The only tells were the subtle badges and perhaps the rumble from the dual exhausts. It was the ultimate sleeper, a gentleman's express with the heart of a race car. You could drive one to work on Friday and beat a Corvette on the drag strip on Saturday, then take your family to church on Sunday. Few cars in history have been so versatile and so dangerous and to unsuspecting challengers. We had another battleground, NASCAR. In the early 1960s represented the golden age for NASCAR, the stock car era. The cars on track actually resembled what was in showrooms, albeit with safety equipment and race-tuned engines. And in this arena, Galaxy didn't just compete, guys, it dominated. From 1962 to 65, Ford's Galaxy was the car to beat. With its aerodynamic fastback roofline and monster 427 engine, it was clocking over 170 miles per hour on the high banks of Daytona. But this success didn't come easily. Ford had learned a hard lesson in 1962. The boxy Galaxy may have had the power, but Chevy's more aerodynamic Impala had the edge on super speedways. Ford's engineers realized that at 150 miles per hour plus, aerodynamics really mattered as much as horsepower. So their solution came midway through the 1963 model year with the sports hardtop roofline. This fastback design cut through the air significantly better than the previous box-top roof. In wind tunnel testing, the sloped roof reduced drag by nearly 15% at high speeds, and that might not sound like much, but at Daytona it translated to nearly 5 miles per hour higher top speed, which is definitely the difference between winning and running mid-pack. Drivers like Ford Lorenzen, nicknamed the Golden Boy, were racking up wins in Galaxy like it was child's play. Lorenzen's 1963 became the stuff of legend. In 1963, we saw him have 29 starts, he won 6 races and finished in the top 5 21 times. In the following year, he won 8 races, including 5 in a row. His white and blue number 28 Holman Moody prepared Galaxy became one of the most recognizable race cars in America. The partnership between Ford and Holman Moody was crucial to the Galaxy's NASCAR success. The race-prepared 427s were masterpieces of engineering. Special high compression pistons, hand ported and polished cylinder heads, custom ground cap shafts and radical profiles, blueprinted components balanced to perfection. Race versions were producing well over 500 horsepower, astonishing for that era. And in fact, the Galaxie helped Ford win the 1963 and 64 NASCAR Manufacturers Championships and nearly triggered rule changes to slow it down. The dominance was so complete that it caught the attention of NASCAR founder Bill France Sr., who was always concerned about one manufacturer gaining too much of an advantage. But the NASCAR's success wasn't just about raw power or slippery aerodynamics. It was Ford's total commitment to racing. Ford's engineers weren't just building cars, they were developing technologies that could survive the punishment of 500-mile races at full throttle. Better cooling systems, stronger valve trains, more durable transmissions. All of this racing knowledge flowed back to the original production cars. And when you bought a Galaxie with a 427, you were essentially getting a detuned race car. So you've got a car that dominates drag strips, rules NASCAR, and outguns Corvettes. Sounds like a success story, right? Well, not exactly. Because the very things that made the Galaxie exceptional on the track created unexpected challenges on the street. Here's the catch. The Galaxie was big, really big. At over 209 inches long and 79 inches wide, it was nearly this large as modern full-size SUVs. The 1963 model weighed approximately 3,800 pounds in standard form and well over 4,000 pounds with options. Even though it had the heart of a race car on the street, it was a brute. Steering was vague, requiring multiple turns, lock-to-lock brakes, were drums all around, barely adequate for normal driving, and potentially dangerous when pulled hard. Gas mileage, well, that was pretty tragic. If you had a 427 under the hood, you'd be lucky to get 8 miles per gallon. A typical 427 Galaxie owner might spend a significant portion of their paycheck just keeping the tank filled. And then there was the cost of the car itself. A fully optioned Galaxie 500 XL with a performance engine wasn't cheap. In 1963, it could easily cost over $3,800, which is the equivalent to about $37,000 today. But again, for those standards, changing too. As the baby boom generation came of age, their automotive preferences differed from their parents. They